It's like caring about everything else in our family. It's like actually the nature is the actual mother that we have. If we think in the back, it's fostering everything that we have, and the much care we have, the more care we have about it, the more we have it, and the more we pass to the next generation. And strongly believe we are very responsible to preserve it and to pass it to the next generations as good as it has been for us.
I think what happens oftentimes is people think, my actions really don't make a difference. You know, they think, my actions, what's one person's? What's the actions of one person going to really change? But you know, in this world, I think we're always called upon to just deal with our own little world and make a difference in that little world that we live in. And so I think it's important because 1 + 1 = 2, and 2 + 2 = 4, and the world, and it expands and gets bigger. So yes, I think we're all called upon to do that. For example, at home, you know, I'm really big on recycling and reusing things, and I know my kids will sometimes be like, Mom, what's the big deal? Look, it is a big deal, because if I do it and my neighbor does it, etc., etc., etc.
At a general level, I would say very important. You know, if you look at you know, the idea that you take the Earth as sort of a closed system, anything we do stays here, so you're going to be stuck with the effects of what happens. You know, whether you talk about natural disasters like volcanoes, or if you look at more man-made disasters like Chernobyl, or you know, the Japanese reactor problem. I don't think it would be a debatable point to say that, you know, what happens in one place is going to ultimately affect everybody.
Without that individual responsibility, we cannot make any changes in our behavior. And I dare to say, people's behavior in this era of economic growth and globalization is not changing for good. It's changing for worse in the context of what we're discussing today. It's more so pushing for economic growth, and the attitude and the philosophy that people have is that the more we have in terms of goods and services that we enjoy, the better for us. I think that's not sustainable.
Look at any of the main ethical traditions in the West. So you could look at a virtue-based approach to what kind of person do I want to be. You can look at a very rule-based approach that you find in like Immanuel Kant, or you could look at more of a consequentialist point of view. John Stuart Mill, utilitarianism, which, although problematic, I think you could construct a reasonable argument on any of those traditions to say that as an individual, am I responsible for my own actions? Yes. Would that include responsibility for things that I do to the natural world? Yes. It would seem you know, a stretch to say that on any serious ethical inquiry that I somehow have a license to be irresponsible for my actions.
If we embark, as we have been in the last 15 years, a large amount of populations from China and India into this quest for economic growth, pretty soon we find that our limited resources, because our resources as are provided by our earth and environment, are limited. So the more demand will be for the same amount of resources, and the impact will be to some degree negative externalities on the earth, on the nature, that will lead to degradation of the nature as we know it. I never use an elevator, and when I see people using these large elevators that are huge, they are industrial elevators, I don't think they think anything else than just saving the energy. But it's not good for them, it's not good for. And I will tell you, if you do more work, and physical work, mental work, and trying to take control over your things and help the environment, it's good. It's better for you. Physical activity is good for you. It's good for your health. Mental activity is good for your brain. And I think staying active all the time, in touch with things, and at the same time controlling and feeling free, it's good for your long run life.
We can only do what we can do, but small differences make a difference. And you know, the actions that I take, coupled with the actions of my friends and my neighbors and my coworkers, can make a really big difference.
When we say, I think, better for the planet, what we're really saying is better for human beings. I mean, to be blunt, it is a bit anthropocentric, but when you look at most of the concern over what do we do to the natural environment, in short of literally blowing up the globe, we're not really going to hurt the planet. On the other hand, could we hurt life on the planet, human or non-human life, animal life, plant life? Absolutely. So I do tend to look at it as what's my part in the big picture, and I try to do what I can to be reasonable and responsible. But also understanding that what I can ever affect is very limited, because I'm just me. There's 360 million people in America.
You can only do what you can do, and little changes. It's the ripple effect. One little stone you throw in the water and you see how it ripples, and the beauty that it makes. And I think one little change can make a ripple effect, and so we all need to make those little changes.
We have this coordination failure concept, which I believe it works with humans. People believe individually. I, as a lone, singular entity, I cannot produce too much change. But that's not correct approach, because I think if everybody believes positively and engage in positive and concrete steps to do something, in the end, we reach a mass that will produce a change, a critical mass of people doing something that will do a change. I have this interesting job, a teacher, and I have this interesting experience coming from a different country, a different culture. And I think I came here mainly because I wanted to know. I wanted to know more, and I'm very curious and ready to absorb any kind of knowledge. And I believe in the power of knowledge. And I believe, because you see me, when I start believing something, looking at the world, I integrate in my lectures. And I wanted to pass to my students, because I believe, as I don't know exactly who said this, I think maybe Tagore, Rabindranath Tagore, or Gandhi, happiness. I like this definition of happiness. When you have what you think, what you say, and what you do are in harmony. And I like to stick with that. It's also kind of sincerity on how you approach your life. And the more sincere you are, and more direct you are, the better you are, because you don't have to care about different faces that you may put if you are not sincere or honest. That's my final thought.
I think it's always worthwhile to be informed. I mean, education is very important in that regard, and to look at opportunities to be active and to be more engaged, and also to, let's say, be communicative with business. If you look at the way business has changed, even over the last 10 years, but if you go back 20 years, dramatic changes in terms of the way the business world looks at environmental responsibility, where there's been a slow transition to people having more of a demand for green products, and people also trying to become conscious consumers and saying, well, I could buy this and it could do this, but what are the negative effects of doing this? I think that if people have a desire to be, we could say, better stewards, or to be more environmentally responsible, it's a matter of getting good information and then really trying to act on it.